It's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to a special edition of the Mike Prince Show. It is our mission to try to bring you some news you could use. Today is no exception to that rule. You can follow me on Twitter X at the Mike Prince Show. You can follow me on our YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And you can always visit our website at obnradio.com. With that being established, let us jump right into today's special episode. For those of you who keep up with this show regularly, we do all we can while we can to present you with some daily SWAC information with some emphasis on Prairie View. I am a PV graduate, a former baseball player, supporter of athletics. I don't just support baseball, but I support all of them. And we've tried to show that with our daily coverage here from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Today, I am not going to present as a broadcaster. I'm going to present as a fan, as a frustrated fan, as a fan who wants the very best for my beloved Prairie View, but as a fan who is continuously scratching his head. Now, we do know and understand that everybody is not going to agree to disagree or agree whatever I have to say on this particular subject for today, but it is what it is, and by no intents and purposes are we doing a malicious attack. We're going to present facts, and we're going to let the facts speak for themselves. Those who dare to listen to this through its entirety, you come up with your own decision, your own, what you feel the antidote would be. But it's time for some serious evaluation, and I mean serious evaluation of Prairie View's baseball program. Prairie View had a productive season this season with an overall record of 28 wins to 26 losses. They got eliminated by Texas Southern from the SWAC 2024 baseball tournament from Atlanta, Georgia. Now, there are some things that we are going to look into. You may be aware of it. You may not be aware of it. And once again, once you get the facts laid out for yourself, you can take it and run with it and do whatever you felt. Now, we mentioned that Prairie View had an overall record of 28 and 26 from the 2024 campaign. And when you look at that on the surface, you've got a pretty good year, 52% win percentage, not a bad season for the Panthers. They lost the first round of the SWAC tournament to Bethune-Cookman, final score of 16-1. Then were eliminated by Texas Southern, rival game, in a very well-played game on both sides, outstanding pitching. And that final score was 3-2. And Prairie View is now out of the tournament, watching as the rest of us are. That's not where the problem or the challenge is. Here's where the problem or the challenge would come. In conference play, Prairie View had 18 wins and 9 losses. Another good numbers that you put up. But the deception that comes from that is that the 18 wins that Prairie View accomplished in conference play, 12 of those wins came from two teams. When you combine them, they had under 10 wins total, and that's University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, and that is the Alcorn State Braves. Both programs have been down for a moment, and it is what it is. They're struggling. And because of those two factors, it has almost been guaranteed, at least for the last 10 years or so, that it would be representing from the West the the Grambling State Tigers, Texas Southern Tigers, and the Southern Jaguars. Before the addition of Bethune-Cookman and FAMU, you had your 10 teams, and then your last of that battle would be between that 4 and 5, which for the most cases would have been in the last 8, 9, 10 years before the entry of the two Florida schools, Bethune and FAMU. You would have the Old West, which was Grambling, PV, Texas Southern, and Pine Bluff. Pine Bluff, for the most part, for the last 10 years, with an exception of a lightning in a bottle year, you could almost place them at being that 5th seed. Then when you got the addition of the two Florida schools, here comes Alcorn. Alcorn then settles in, and so you have 6 teams, and now you're basically, with the two programs' lackluster performance, you've assured yourself, if you're Texas Southern, Prairie View, Grambling, or Southern, that you'd be going to the tournament with the way things have played out percentage, because the programs of Pine Bluff and Alcorn have been that low. So once again, back to the facts here. 12 wins out of 18 wins are from two teams that have less than 10 wins combined. And we're talking about in conference play and almost in overall records. I didn't even look at the overall records, but you have where I'm coming from. That is 67% of your wins are from programs under 500. Think about that for a moment. Coming into the start of this 23-24 campaign, Prairie View baseball record coming into this 9th season under the current leadership was at 130 wins to 246 losses. At the conclusion of this season, the win total now is 158 wins in comparison to 272 losses. That's a grand total of 430 games. And out of 430 games, you have an overall winning percentage of 37%. Now, if this were a batting average, that would be pretty doggone impressive. But we're talking about win-loss totals. Now, I know that you're not going to win championships every year. I know you're not going to be the top dog every year. But when you look at this string of factual numbers that have been accumulated over the past 9 seasons, Prairie View baseball program is averaging 17 wins per year and 30 losses per year for a total of a 36% win rate. And let me put this side note in here. College athletics is more than just as they say, the X's and the O's, the Jimmys and the Joes. The most important thing is you want people to graduate. You want your student athletes to have success for life after whatever sport they participate in. But there's also a reality that coaches are hired to win. Coaches are judged by wins and losses. And that is the profession that coaches walk into with their eyes wide open. And yes, there are some difficult challenges, in particular on the Division I FCS and mid-major, however you want to identify it, HBCU circuit. We know that and understand that. But every coach that takes on that challenge know that coming into the situation. So we all could understand, yes, money could make a difference. Money could do some great things. And another special note for the record, Prairie View A&M University's baseball program is not on the poor mouth end spectrum amongst their peers. No, they're not fully funded. I dare you to find any baseball program within the Southwestern Athletic Conference that is fully funded. But when the bottom line and the dust settles, it's about wins and losses. And if you think I'm exaggerating, if this were the case of a football coach, if this were the case of a basketball coach, if this was the case of any program that is serious about competing and taking care of business, regardless of what sport it is, you tell me where 35, 36, 37% in win-loss columns is going to be acceptable. Hell, even going back to the 80s and early 90s, that was not acceptable and had far less amenities to compete with for the baseball program. But now with the new facilities, new turf, new add-ons for whatever's going on, and you can't tell me and use as a crutch that you do not have enough funding for scholarships. You do not have this, that, and the other. It's called creative out-the-box thinking. Now, I know people say, well, you got to be patient. You got to give systems time to develop and find their way, find their identity. Well, we just completed the 9th season. How much longer do we have to be patient? How much longer do we keep saying it's going to get better? The mark of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Part of that challenge is there has not been stability in the main leadership role of athletics, and that's the athletic director. There have been a revolving door when it comes to leadership in the case of Prairie View for an athletic director. Heck, we're just on an athletic director who's going into their 2nd year, and every time things come in, people getting adjusted. Well, what's the main focus? The main focus is going to be football. The next main focus is going to be basketball. And so other programs slide under the radar. Well, it's time for the radar to pick up what's going on so it can be some necessary improvement from top to bottom. As a supporter of Prairie View athletics, yes, I want to see football do well. I want to see basketball do well, but I also want to see track and field do well, golf do well, tennis do well, softball, bowling, and baseball. It shouldn't be so top-heavy that you just rolling people out there just to say you got something going on. We all compete, hopefully, for winning. We want to make sure that we got the best chance of putting our student athletes in a winning position. Now, what is that going to take? Yes, sometimes you get a bad crop of recruitments coming in. Sometimes you have a coach or two that might not gel or get the full vision of what's going on. Whatever the case may be, adjustments need to be made. If we look at just the pure facts, it's almost default-like that you can assure yourself that unless something major happens at Pine Bluff or Alcorn, I can almost guarantee you that next year you're going to have pretty much the same top 4 from the West. It's just a matter of mixing and matching on who's going to be 1 through 4. Is that a true measure of success? Is that a true measure of stability? Knowing that you're going to rely on the likes of subpar competition within your Western opponents? And we won't talk about when we step outside of conference play. I know that it's always David versus Goliath, but the thing about baseball, you can finagle some wins, some quality wins from time to time, because it's not based on the metrics or the matrix of the football and basketball dynamics. You can offset that with some other alternative ways of getting things done on the diamond. Now, when it comes to the RPI ranking for the baseball program, they're currently at about 261. And for those who may or may not be conscious of how the RPI ranking works, there are approximately 303, 304 Division I baseball programs. Doesn't matter if you're in a Power 4, all the way down to the SWAC, all the way down to the MEAC, whatever. Well, MEAC doesn't have baseball, but you understand the point of what I'm saying, that you have 304 teams. So Prairie View is right now about 261. Let me give you a glimpse of where Alcorn and Pine Bluff are. Alcorn was at 303, 304. Pine Bluff was at 301. So they're at the bottom of the bottom. In typical SWAC baseball rankings, you would have programs anywhere between 200, 250. They doing expected range of where they should be. And that's not just SWAC schools, but that's most of your FCS baseball programs. They kind of line up in those areas. And so they, get some big quad 1 wins, some quad 2 wins to boost their rankings up a little bit. But that comes when you play step outside of your quad 4 status. And an example of what your quad 3 and 4 programs would be, of course, as we mentioned, any Power 4 program, your Group 5 programs, those are pretty much your 3s and 4s. Now, when you come, I'm sorry, not 3s and 4s, but 1s and 2s, your quads from 1s and 2s. 3s and 4s are going to be typically your regional schools within your footprint of what you can compete up against. Now, an absolute cursor against Quad 4 programs or anything outside of NCAA status, NAIA, even D3 is frowned upon when you look at these Quad 4 schedules and opportunities of improving their RPI rankings. And when you look at it, for the most part, we're simply not competitive on any tier that's in that 1 and 2, no matter how you look at it. Nowhere near competitive. And once again, that becomes frustrating. I don't take joy of beating up on a Jarvis Christian. You're supposed to be the Jarvis Christian. Heck, we even lost to Houston Tillerson this past season. And that's not supposed to happen. So when we look at the quality of the product that's being put out, what is the true measuring stick? How do we make this better? How long do we long suffer? Now, I know everybody is not into baseball as I am, but baseball is not being handled with a D1 approach from Prairie View A&M University. Well, why do you say that, Prince? Well, I say that because of what's being presented, what's been consistently shown. Excuses continually to be made. We're always looking, saying money is the issue. And money is not the solid issue. That's not the solid issue, because you could look at the FAMUs, Bethune-Cookman's, Texas Southern. Texas Southern, for lack of a better term, they are living out the back of their trunk. They have no home field. They have no practice facility. They play in a public park. But when you look at our head-to-head competition against Texas Southern, we are 12-36. Let me repeat that. Prairie View A&M University, these last 9 seasons, head-to-head competition against your number 1 rival, Texas Southern University, have a total of 12 wins out of 40 8 games. That brings you to a winning percentage of 25%. Now let's put that on the football spectrum. If Prairie View football is at a 25% success rate against Texas Southern, I know damn well that's not acceptable. If Prairie View men and women's basketball team have a success rate of 25%, I know damn well that's not acceptable. If any other sport that Prairie View is in competition with Texas Southern University is at 25%, I know it's not acceptable. Then why is it acceptable and being tolerated for baseball? Do we not care about baseball? Or are we just saying, yeah, we got something, we're going to throw it together, get out there, do what you can, guys, go get it. And for that nonchalant fan, for that person who's not really understanding, oh, man, you see 28 and 27, oh, great season. Okay, that's a bit of a falsehood. When 67% of your conference wins are against two teams with 10 combined wins. That's just like the Charles Barkley commercial when he's out there on the basketball court with all the kids and say the game plan is to give it to me every time. You're supposed to dominate that. That's not impressive. What's impressive is being consistent, even in a down year. Well, Prince, they make it to the tournament every year. You're automatically in, basically. Look at Alcorn. Look at Pine Bluff. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to those programs, but those programs are struggling and have been struggling for a long time. That's just like taking the narrative, well, at least I'm not like such and such and such and such. We got to expect more for ourselves. Now, some of you that are going to be hearing this, you're thinking, I'm going against the coach. No, I'm not going against the coach. I've been supportive of the coach, even if we have an agreeable, disagreeable moment. I've always supported the coach, and my money proves it. My coverage proves it. So this is not a personal attack, but it is about wanting a return off your investment. It is about wanting to see what's best for the program. You have one of the best baseball facilities in the conference. And I'll step out there and say the best baseball facility in the conference. Just got new turf installed to help offset whatever the sprinkler system problem was so these kids can get out there and compete. Just got the dugouts redone. And always doing something to help and improve. Yeah, you might not have every scholarship available, but you got way more than enough than some of these other programs that we're not consistently beating. My question is this: what metrics are we using? How long shall we continue to wait? Why are we not getting it done when it counts? Oh, yeah, the Cactus Jack, the Andre Dawson. That's okay. Everybody's out the gate. Those games don't count. What counts is that conference play. What counts is that tournament play. You score 3 runs in 2 games, and I know slumps come, and I know that, you're not going to get a hit every time, but one of the worst fielding teams in the conference, a 94% fielding percentage. For those who don't understand, that's not a good fielding percentage. Your good fielding percentage is typically 97 on up. That's a good fielding percentage. Well, it's not that far off at 94. Well, when you look at it, that 94, that 2-3% fielding percentage difference is the difference between wins and losses. Runners left stranded on base, bad base running in critical situations. Those are the things that let you know that you're not mentally prepared. And I know that we're dealing with young men, and this is not even about the student athletes, because student athletes and youth, they adjust to their environment when they're serious about the craft. We've had multiple interchangeable assistant coaches come through and out the system, and just maybe, and I want you to hear me real good, just maybe it's time we got to start from top to bottom instead of from bottom to top. So once again, I know people are going to take it however they want to take it, and that's fine. But everything that's been presented were facts. Now, are there factors that accommodate the facts? Yes, there are. But you know what people call those? Excuses. Once again, my money is where my mouth is. I've been supporting Prairie View Athletics for a long time. And you can check with any PV support group that I'm with, and my money lines up. Okay, but this is not about money. This is about wanting better for Prairie View, wanting better for the student athletes that come. Because you know what's part of a great experience? Winning. You know what's part of a great experience? Being competitive. And that's all I'm asking for. But when the dust settles, guess what? I'm still going to do my thing. I'm still going to support and do what I can while I can. Why? Because I love my Prairie View A&M University. We were playing out there. Old Coach Tank would ask us and get us fired up. All for one. One for all. All for Prairie View. Prairie View for all. What we gonna do? Fight like hell to win. What we gonna do? Fight like hell to win. And if we're gonna fight like hell to win, sometimes we have to make a difficult choice of turning the page and moving on down the road. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. You guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.